All right, we are back on MorningLine. Final segment, Nick. You know, I was planning on spending a lot of quality time just talking with my friend Nick Leonardo. Instead, all the viewers want to talk to you. So we'll take more phone calls for you. And next on the horn is Ricky. Ricky, good morning. What's your thought, Ricky?
Okay, I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
I believe it's wrong for them to make everything a felony. Can they do it can they protest quietly on the sidewalk and still not be on the grounds as a felony? And the other one is everybody needs to get along peaceful if they can. And I wish they'd pass another stimulus check for everybody. Thank you.
Gotcha. All right, let's stick with this first question there about where they stand. I mean, I guess if you're on a sidewalk there on the Capitol, not up on the stairs around the rotunda, you made the example earlier, Nick, of you and I going out there and putting lawn chairs down. Now, if we're technically not on the Capitol grounds but on the public property, well, I guess it's all public. But the sidewalk, is that any different?
Yeah, so the sidewalk could be considered to be a little bit different because that is a right of way, and it could be you could be blocking handicap access or things of that nature. But as far as what constitutes, camping, as they call it, it means anytime between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. And it says erecting, placing, maintaining, leaving, allowing to remain, or using a piece of furniture, tent, raised tarp, or other temporary structure or furniture. I think everyone is fine to be out there between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. I think that's fine. They can bring chairs and do what they like, but I think in between those hours, if you have any of those items, again, this is a selective sort of prosecution. If they don't like the message, then they're going to prosecute you. I mean, it wasn't just but a few weeks ago. Some of these young people got in trouble for placing signs up on the Capitol with Black Lives Matter and some other messages. And then once the occupation of the Ida B. Wells Plaza had ended, then we saw the Republicans that were putting up Trump banners that were hanging on the Capitol, and that was okay. So again, it's not necessarily an equal treatment of everyone. When it comes to the enforcement of these laws, and especially this new one that's going to take effect in October.
Let's take another call. We've got one from Ed. Ed, good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey.
I got to say, protesting is as American as mama's apple pie. That's been going on from day one in this country, even before we was a country. However, you can draw the line by a lot of things, such as camping out in a place that's not supposed to camp out. They can put restrictions up there on that Capitol. But if I don't understand, and maybe I didn't keep up with it, I didn't realize they had a special session just to go in there and stop them people from protesting at the Capitol. Hey, that's wrong. They better start checking the Constitution, and like the man, Mr. Leonardo said there, is somebody is going to go to court, and when they do, the state of Tennessee is going to have a big red face in those legislatures up there.
Well, when this passed, it did make some national news, others saying, look what the governor just signed. Do you feel, with what you know about some of the protesters that you've dealt with, Nick, that this is going to be a deterrent? I know that they've dialed down what they're doing over there right now, but I mean, if they come back, is that going to be a deterrent, this law?
Well, so the protesters that I have come in contact with are, they're, at least in my interactions, I've never heard them cuss. They're very respectful. They're mild-mannered people. One in particular I represent is in Divinity School in Vanderbilt in his last year, and would like to go to law school. So I do think that when it becomes a felony, it does become a big deterrent. And especially if our district attorney is going to enforce these charges and move forward with the prosecution and charge these individuals with a felony, I think that is a different ball game. And I do think that things will change with these protests until something is done about the law. Without a doubt, a felony is a really serious thing. You can't vote, you can't own a gun. In this case, you couldn't, you have a hard time going to law school. And so you're rendered infamous. And so it's just, and there's mandatory jail time associated with this. So I do think that it's going to change some, but I could be wrong. I mean, this could be a catalyst that could even make this matter between the General Assembly and the people they serve even more inflamed.
Yeah, we're going to see as we move forward. Let's squeeze in one more call for us. I think we can get this in. Vicky. Good morning, Vicky. How are you?
Good morning. I want to say this. I'm going to call him Bill. Bill don't know how it feels when you lose a child, okay? Once the table was turned towards him or other people, it makes us feel good when other people are out here protesting the right way. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When my son first passed away, I told them, do it the right way. Don't go out here, start shooting up people's houses. Don't go out here or shooting up the jail or nothing like that. Do it the right way. And so, give us some respect. Don't say, well, black people doing this, black people doing that. No, we feel good. I feel good because they were doing it the right way.
That, of course, Nick, is Vicky Hambrick, and her son is going to have the trial for his alleged murder. The charge is murder, of course, with Delkey is going to come next year, and we're going to be covering it gavel to gavel here. My heart always goes out to the families, as always, and I think a lot of Vicky Hambrick. She makes a good point, and even in this most recent case, as we were talking about in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where that African-American was shot by the officer 7 times in the back. He survived. There were protests. Even this man's family, like Vicky Hambrick, they want protest, but they've been asking, please don't get violent. And sometimes it does get violent. It did last night in Wisconsin. But yeah, here's someone who's saying, look, my son shot. From her point of view, this was murder, and they want to protest it, okay? They shouldn't be silenced as long as they are not violent. And you wonder if this bill passing is going to chill things when people certainly have a right to protest if they feel strongly about it, like Vicky Hambrick does.
Well, and my heart goes out to Ms. Hambrick as well. I mean, that's a horrible thing. I could imagine to lose a child in such tragic circumstances, but it's good to hear her voice. It's good to hear her reiterate that this needs to continue. These protests need to continue. This national conversation must continue. It's been long overdue, and there's a right way to go about it. And I think that if people are, setting the courthouse on fire, they are, distracting or detracting from the message that's trying to move forward here. And so it must continue. The dialogue must continue. And people have to continue to get in good necessary trouble, or we're going to see ourselves, we're not going to see a change. And as far as this affecting other protests, it's not. This is directed at the kids, and I hate to say kids, I'm just twice their age, but it's directed at the folks at War Memorial Plaza that are out there protesting because they want their voices to be heard.
Just a couple minutes left, but Inez just called in. I'd like to sneak her in as well. Inez, are you there?
I am.
Go ahead.
Okay, I've heard about the most recent police shooting, but it sticks in my mind. I'm a 75-year-old black woman from the rural South, and I grew up in the Dr. King time, and Dr. King's philosophy is mine. Not just Black lives, but everyone or no one, and no press, little to no press has been given to the shooting, killing, execution-style killing of Eric Salgado in Oakland, just days after Mr. Floyd was killed. Supposedly, he was shot 40 times, shot into his automobile by California Highway Patrol, and his pregnant girlfriend, his pregnant girlfriend was in the car with him, and she also sustained the shot. If we're going to give national and international press, we should give it to every one of those shootings. And when we grew up down here in Tennessee, we were told that anyone that is not Caucasian is black. Eric obviously appears to be Latino. Let's talk about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, yeah, and again, you hear the refrain, Nick. All lives matter, of course, but the situation with some of these shootings involving African Americans has escalated to the point where, you know, clearly some type of change has to be made in terms of the way these cases are approached.
Well, and I just want to underscore that I agree 100%. But what is so important here is the role that Channel 5 has, CBS has, and all media have. Because if there weren't cameras in Selma on Bloody Sunday, we would not have the images that we have. And those images would not have been broadcast. Now, we do have social media, we have Twitter, a lot of these images on Twitter, but I do think that change is going to come in a more expedient fashion if the media does give coverage and fair coverage to all of these indiscretions and all of these other individuals who have been marginalized for years, and that is going to raise the awareness.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us. This was a great conversation. Like I said, we'd like to have you on more frequently. I know how busy you are, but let's do this again soon because there's a lot of other things I want to talk to you about.
Good to be with you, Nick.
All
Take
right.
care. Stay safe.
Take care. That's News Channel 5 legal analyst Nick Leonardo. He's terrific. We'll talk more. We'll take a break. I'll have a programming note right after this.